Hi, good morning from Canada. My name is Joanna. I'll be guiding you for the next 45 minutes. This is our weekly live yoga practice, and it's every Thursday at this time on this platform, and it is here as a resource to help you with your learning of your courses and to serve you as you prepare to curate your own practicums. So please leave me comments and let me know what types of classes you would like. What would help you at this time? Do you need more focus on sequencing? Do you need more focus on integrating breath work? Do you need it focusing on theme? Let me know and I will try and help you as best I can. I am a 500-hour ERYT, an experienced registered yoga teacher, and I did both my 200 and my 300-hour trainings with Your Yoga Flow, and now I am honoured to be a faculty member with them. So please settle in, get yourself comfortable. I do mention the props in the comments here, but you will need a bolster if you have one, 2 blocks, a blanket and an eye pillow. If you don't have those things, you can grab some extra cushions off the couch or bed, and if you don't have an eye pillow or a blanket, you could just grab some extra layers of clothing, no problem. And we'll meet in Sukhasana, a tall, comfortable seat. So I have elevated my pelvis on the bolster. I find this helps to create space in the hips and helps to create better posture. So you can play with that option. If that doesn't work for you today, you might lean against a wall with your legs extended, or you might prefer to sit in a chair. So just wait a couple more moments for people to gather and settle. Today's practice is Hatha yoga for mindful transitions. And this comes up quite often when we're marking practicums, and on the Facebook page we get asked lots of questions about transitions, and we find that it's perhaps something that people need a little more guidance with. So basically transitions are what glues our practice together. It is the piece that ties one asana to the next. And without transitions, our practice would be very clunky and static in a way, because there would be no fluidity, there would be no grace of moving from one place to the next. And in our yoga practice, we are always trying to create as much grace in the way we move as possible, so that it can be a mindful, meditative experience for our students. We never want them to feel jarred or confused, so transitions is a way that we can soften the edges around our practice. And there are many ways that we can transition from shape to shape. The key is that we do it safely and we guide our students clearly. So in this practice today, we will be moving from the floor to standing and then back to the floor to end practice. So you'll get the opportunity to see where the transitions are, how they interconnect from one asana to the other, and how they feel as an opportunity to counterpose or release from the shape we've just done, while also preparing us for the shape that is yet to come. When we are mindful of our transitions, we can create a practice that is not only safe and well-rounded for our students, but it also integrates more sensation of inward feeling and intuition. In transitions, we can carve out spaces for students to move as they feel, which is super empowering for our students. And also by incorporating safe transitions, we can hopefully avoid injury and ensure that our students have that mindful, graceful practice that they so deserve. Transitions are also a great place for students to build body awareness because you may offer choices as the transition, and that allows them to move from that place of feeling and knowing and awareness and do what feels right for them. And it also helps us to remain ever present to what we're doing right now on our mats. So let us start here in Sukhasana. You can roll your shoulders up, back and down. You might close your eyes. You might draw your gaze down to the floor if that's more comfortable. Just starting to move inward with the body and dissolve any external distractions around it. Take a sweet breath in through the nose and a nice long exhale. And again, like that, inhale big through the nose. And a full cleansing exhale from the mouth. One more cycle in. One more cycle out. And just start to roll your shoulders up, back and down a couple of times. And then inhale, sweep both of your arms up to the sky. Wrap your right hand around your left wrist and lean gently to the right with your upper body. Keep anchoring your pelvis to the floor. Inhale, come back to center, and exhale, swap your hands. Inhale, reach nice and tall, and exhale, lean to the left. Couple of breaths. Inhale, back to center, exhale, lower both of your hands to your thighs. Take another big breath in. Another big breath out. From here, we're going to move into a tabletop position. So in order to do that, I invite you first to remove any prop you might be sitting on. And then we're going to place our hands to the outsides of our legs and bring the knees back together. Then lean either into your right or left hip and place your hand to the mat, the other hand to the mat, and move around onto your hands and knees. Feel free to add a blanket under the knees for extra padding. So here you have your hands under your shoulders, your knees under your hips, your toes can be tucked or untucked. And we'll begin with cat-cow. So as you inhale, flip your tailbone towards the sky, soften your belly towards the earth, and rise your chin and chest. As you exhale, start to draw your tailbone under your body, ground your back, and look towards your belly button. Two more of those. Inhale, come forwards and up. This is your cow pose. And exhale, rounding the spine, cat. One more cycle. Inhale, forwards and up. Use the whole breath in to complete the movement. And exhale, rounding the spine. From here, come back to neutral. Walk your knees as wide as your mat. Connect your big toes together. And melt your pelvis back to your heels. Start to walk your hands forwards and melt your forehead and your chest towards the floor. If there's a big gap between your pelvis and your heels, feel free to add a bolster or a cushion into that space so your pelvis has something to anchor into. If there's a big gap between your forehead and the floor, you can always bring a block or another cushion for your head to rest on. Start to relax your lower belly and breathe nice and wide into the back, into the sides of your waist. Child's pose, Balasana. 3 more breaths. And then very slowly start to lift your head. Remove any props that may be underneath it. Remove any props that may be underneath your pelvis. And find your way back up onto your hands and knees, walking the hands forwards, bringing the knees back in parallel. And then this time we're going to tuck the toes. Before we go anywhere, let us just simply shift our hips side to side and rock the rib cage side to side so that we can start to bring in a sense of fluidity. This is preparing the body to transition into downward facing dog, helping to put a little weight into one hand and then the other. Observing how the back feels, how we have warmed it slightly. And playing with weight distribution. As you're ready, spread your fingers, touch your toes, start to lift your knees away from the floor and extend your pelvis towards the sky. If this shape really isn't for you today, no problem. Stay in your tabletop or return to your child's pose. Once you're in your shape, you can explore movement. So this is a nice way to transition into this inversion of downward facing dog, is to encourage your students to mold the shape into their body. So moving a little, rocking from side to side, pressing the weight more into the right foot and then more into the left foot, shaking the head, taking some nice deep cleansing exhale breaths, observing the gripping of their finger pads to the mat so that the weight is distributed evenly through the hand and not just into the wrist. So give moments of time in these shapes, especially if it's the first down dog of the day for your students. They need a bit of time to explore. So let them have that. Lovely. Take 3 more breaths, either moving in your down dog or in stillness. And then bending the knees, looking to the hands, walking your feet slowly towards your hands at the top of the mat. Here you might like blocks under your hands to fill the gap between your hands and the floor. Take a halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana, and then exhale, fold over your legs, keeping your knees soft. So you'll notice now that we are standing, we move fluidly from the floor to standing without any clunkiness, without any breaks, and we spent lots of time moving from shape to shape. Take another halfway lift here, lengthening the spine. Exhale, fold, draw the belly button towards the spine. One more cycle, halfway up. And exhale, fold. If having your head lower than your heart does not feel good, you can always rest your forearms on your thighs and have your knees more bent. And just look at the floor in front of your mat so your head is in line with your heart. From here, bend your knees a lot and ragdoll to stand up. So keep your arms really heavy, dangling in front of you, head heavy, knees soft. Roll up, stacking the spine. Take all the time you need, no rushing here. Observing how it feels to come to Tadasana, mountain pose, standing tall. At the top here, you can take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. In Tadasana, take a moment to just lean more into one foot and then the other. exploring the weight distribution between your feet, finding that place of center and equilibrium. And then finding stillness. Take another big breath in and a big breath out. From this place of anchored, grounding energy, let us move into balance. So place your hands in Anjali Mudra at the center of your chest, the heels of your hands together and your finger pads, little gap between your hands. Put all the weight into your left foot and peel your right heel off the floor. For some of you, this will be enough today. For others of you, you'll bring your right knee into your chest, engaging your core. Flex your right foot. Maybe you stay here. Option to open the right knee wide. And then maybe connect the sole of your right foot to your inner left thigh. You can use your right hand to help you with this. Or you could place your right foot to the calf muscle below the knee. Or you could keep the ball of your right foot to the floor and rest the right heel to your left ankle. So finding your version of tree pose, Vrikshasana, hugging your foot to your leg to your foot, and lifting up through the crown of your head like you're zipping up your midline. Hands can stay at your heart, or option to open your arms all the way up to the sky and wide. Maybe you look up. Maybe you look forwards. Be in exploration. Then bringing your hands back to your heart space, Anjali Mudra. From here, let us transition into Warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3. Hug that right knee back into your chest. If you ever need to use the wall here for balance, do so. From here, lean forward with your chest and start to extend the right leg behind you, pushing away with the sole of your right foot, extending the crown of your head forwards and long, creating a long line from crown of head to right heel, tucking your hips down towards the floor. Maybe keep your hands at your heart, or take them wide into a T shape, or bring them out in front of you in parallel. Warrior 3. You always have your blocks on the floor if you need them for balance. To transition out of Warrior 3, let us lift our chest nice and slowly as we lower the right foot back to the floor and meet in Tadasana, mountain pose. Exhale the breath. Here you might roll the shoulders, you might shake your hips. Let there be a moment to release. Where do you feel like you need to move or shake or breathe? Let there be fluidity. Nice big exhale. So just back to the other side, hands in heart space, Anjali Mudra. Your right foot spread wide into the earth. Your left heel lifting up and off the mat. Maybe followed by your left knee coming into your chest. I always like to say, get off the bus at your stop. So if you are at the place where you feel enough challenge, then you stay right there. Option to widen the left knee, left foot flex. Option to connect the sole of that left foot to your inner right thigh, inner right calf, or inner right ankle. Always try to avoid the knee area if you can with this shape. Hug foot and leg. Inhale, lift yourself a little taller. Here we are, Vrikshasana. Maybe you explore the arms as well. Don't be alarmed if it's a windy day where your tree is. Give yourself permission to explore movement in the pose as well? Can there be a sensation of transition within the shape? Our yoga is not static. It is not rigid. It is ever moving and changing and evolving. So can this expressive quality of moving and flowing be in every single moment of the practice? Bring your hands back to your heart space, Anjali Mudra. Transitioning to Warrior 3 from here. So hugging that left knee back into your chest. Tilting your chest forwards and pushing back with the sole of your left foot. Extending out through the crown of your head. Maybe your hands come down to your blocks. Maybe your hands stay in Anjali Mudra or come into a wide T shape or extend forwards in parallel. Take a couple more breaths, squeezing through your inner legs, lifting up from the back of that left leg. And then to come out, we lift the chest. We lower the left foot carefully and slowly. We release the breath. We roll the shoulders. We maybe shake a little side to side. A moment of release. And then standing back in Tadasana. Full breath in. Full breath out. Inhale, both arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold over your two legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back with your left foot. Lowering your left knee onto the mat. We now find ourselves in a lunge. You can remain with your hands on the floor, or your hands can be back on your blocks, or option to bring your two hands onto your front thigh, or even overhead. From here in a lunge, you have opportunity to add on pieces. You can come into a twist, you can come into a side body stretch. I'll show you a few options. So from here, you might take your right hand onto your right hip and take your left arm up and overhead, finding a side body stretch. This challenges balance, body awareness, engagement with your core, and creates a nice juicy stretch in your left side. As you inhale, you bring that left arm back to the sky. And as you exhale, you'll bring your hands into heart space under the mudra. Take an inhale breath here. As you exhale, spiral your chest to the right, squeezing through your inner legs. Stay here or start pushing your left elbow as high up your outer right thigh as you can, and keep spiraling your chest towards the sky, hugging your thumbs to the sternum. Option to explore right arm to the sky, left arm towards the floor. Bring your hands back to your heart. Slowly turn your chest back to face forwards, and then lower your two hands to the mat. Stepping back to downward facing dog. We do this by tucking the left toes, lifting the left knee, pressing into the hands, and then taking the right foot back to meet the left. In downward facing dog here, again, allow for exploration of movement. So rocking with the hips, releasing of the breath. Let it be fluid. Let your students express themselves and feel into this body. From here, lowering down onto your hands and knees, tabletop position. We're moving into pigeon pose on the right side. I will give options as well if pigeon pose is not for you. So from this tabletop position, simply extend your right leg behind you on the ball of your right foot. foot. And then hug the right knee into your chest and lower the right knee behind your right wrist. Shuffle your right foot forward a little so you can see it. And then start to extend your left leg further back and lower your pelvis into that space. Untap your left toes, top of the left knee facing the mat. You can be up here on your hands, lifting your spine full. Maybe you wiggle that right foot a little further forwards. Check in that the right foot is flexed. Or maybe you lean forwards, maybe coming down onto your blocks or onto your bolster. Another option for those props is to place them under your right hip if there's a big gap there or you feel like the right hip needs a bit of elevation or support. If this shape isn't for you and you're in tabletop where we just were, you can instead come into thread the needle. So for this shape, you sit back towards your heels, lean into your right hand and lower your right hip and bring your two legs forwards. Extend your legs and then bend your right knee, fold the right foot to the floor, kick the right knee wide, hold on to your right foot with your left hand and start to gently rock your lower right leg side to side. You might stay with this. Or you'll cross your right ankle onto your left thigh and then lean back into your two hands. Stay like this, or bend the left knee now, fold the left foot to the floor. The knee you are in thread the needle, a seated variation of the pose. You could walk your hands a bit closer towards you if you like, and lean your chest more towards that right shin, or you can stay a little further back. Some people might even prefer to come down onto their forearms. Let's take 3 more breaths wherever you find yourself, either pigeon pose or seated thread the needle. Coming out of seated thread the needle, you'll extend your left leg forwards, coming up onto your hands if you are in your forearms, followed by your right leg. And then just roll out your ankles, wiggle your toes, give your legs a little shake. And then you can lean back into your right hand and right hip, bend your two legs, and come back into tabletop, hands and knees. If you're in pigeon pose, you have a couple of options as well. You're walking back onto your hands so your chest is lifted. You're putting a lot of the weight into your hands here and tucking your left toes. From here, you'll press more into the hands and either extend that right leg back into tabletop, or my favorite is coming back up into downward facing dog so that you can extend the back of that right leg. So whether you're in down dog or tabletop, once again, there is an opportunity for some fluid movement, so allow yourself to have that. And then look at your hands, bending your knees, walk your feet to your hands at the top edge of your mat. Take a halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold over your legs. Step back with your right foot to the back of your mat. Lower your right knee, and again, hands can either be on the floor, on your blocks, or two hands to your front thigh. Shoulders rolling up, back and down. Maybe your arms come overhead. Couple of breaths here. So I'll show you the same options for balance and symmetry on the two sides of the body. So firstly, we had option for a side stretch. So left hand on the left hip, right arm up and overhead. Couple of breaths, just going as far as you need to feel that gentle stretch and still maintain balance. Engage your core as you inhale and come back to center. Exhale your hands to your heart, take a breath in. Exhale, spiral your chest to the left, squeezing through your inner legs, and then option to hook your right elbow as high up your outer left thigh as you can, and continue to spiral your chest to the left, thumbs towards the sternum. So it's always good to note how you can evolve a shape, how you could create little add-ons, and these create a fuller sequence and also make your transitions more smooth. From here then you have the option to open your arms nice and wide, the right hand lowering towards the floor and the left arm reaching for the sky. Nice. Bring your hands back to your heart and then slowly turn your chest back to face forwards. Exhale your hands to the mat. So you'll notice there we just went in reverse. We did what we did to get up and into that twist, and then we just went in reverse to lower the hands back to the floor. So you can tuck your right toes here and lift your right knee. You can either step back to down dog or back into tabletop position and exhale your breath, rocking the hips, shaking the head. And then we're either moving into pigeon pose or seated thread the needle on the left side. So you're lowering down onto your hands and knees, tabletop position. The pigeon pose, let's extend the left leg behind us. And then bend that left knee into the chest. Lower the left knee behind the left wrist. Wiggle the left heel forwards and walk the right leg back. And lower the pelvis into that space. Again, use your props for your left hip or under your forearms or forehead as you bring your chest towards the floor. Friends, coming into that seated version of thread the needle, this time we'll sit back into our heels from tabletop, lean into the left hand, left hip, and then bring both legs forwards. Sitting with the legs extended, you'll bend the left knee. Hold the left hand and the left knee together. Right hand around the left foot. Rock that left shin a little side to side. And then cross left ankle onto your right thigh. Stay like this. Or get your two hands behind you. Bend the right knee. Right foot to the floor. And sit in thread the needle. Option to lower down onto your forearms. Option to be up on your hands and even walk the hands closer to you and hug your chest closer to your front shin. So even when we're offering options in practice, it's also important that we guide the transition to get into those options. Not just offering the options, but no way to get there. So really important, especially for beginners. Make sure they feel guided into their shape. 3 more breaths. If you are in seated thread the needle, you will extend your right leg and then your left leg. Roll your ankles, wiggle your toes, shake your legs. And then lean into your left hand, left hip again. Bend your 2 knees and come back onto your hands and knees in tabletop position. Friends, in pigeon pose, you'll come up onto your hands and you can root your hands down into the floor and tuck your right toes. Either press back into tabletop position or back into your downward facing dog. We'll just spend a few breaths now, either in down dog, tabletop, or child's pose, for students to just explore any last little movements or shifts they need to feel. then we'll all meet in child's pose for a few more breaths, anchoring back to the floor, finding our breath. And then walk the hands towards your legs, roll up through your spine, one vertebra at a time, until your head is lifted. Take a big breath in, and a big breath out. Walk the knees together, lean into your right hand and right hip, and then bring your two legs forwards. Sit to the middle of your mat with your legs extended, making sure that when you look back, you're going to have enough room to roll onto the mat. Here we find ourselves in Dandasana, staff pose. So you don't want to have any props underneath you at this point other than maybe a blanket, because we're going to roll to the floor. So this is transitioning back to the mat. Legs are in parallel, hip distance apart. Feet are flexed. Your hands begin down by your sides on the mat. This is a great strengthening pose and helps improve our posture. From here, you start to extend your arms forwards in parallel. Take a big inhale. Keep your legs engaged and your core engaged, and you'll slowly roll onto your back, one vertebra at a time. Go nice and slow with this one. Once the back of your head has landed, then you can encourage relaxation of your limbs, your arms and your legs. Fully exhale your breath here at the base. So that's a great little transitional piece because it involves some core engagement and awareness. From here, bend your two knees, have your 2 feet to the floor, and then hug those knees into your chest and rock gently across your lower back. Some students might enjoy a full happy baby here, so there's an option to slide your arms inside your legs, hold onto the outsides of your feet, flex the feet to the sky, and then bend the knees down the side of the body, pressing the pelvis towards the floor and the shoulder blades. If accessing the feet does not feel great, try holding the ankles or behind the hamstrings. So during our practice today, we did move through the 7 spines, meaning that we move through flexion and extension, we move through rotation, so we move through twist when we were in our lunge, and we move through lateral flexion, which was side body stretches. And then the final one is axial, which is lengthening the spine. So once I know in my class I have completed all of those 7 spines, I'm then free to offer the students an opportunity to move in any way they feel. So I'd encourage the students now to hug the knees back into the chest, so bending the knees and bringing them in, and then bringing the feet back to the floor. Now if I hadn't already included a rotation or a twist or some kind of flexion or extension at this point in the practice, then I would be guiding that. But because we've already included all those elements, I now give it over to the students to decide what they need. So I often give some options, but then I also let them have freedom. So for some students, they might choose to just simply come into Shavasana now and have a long Shavasana. That is awesome and encouraged. I love that. Another option would be Baddha Konasana, so reclined butterfly. So I encourage the students to bring the soles of the feet together and the knees wide. They can put blocks under the knees or hips if needed. You want to offer options where the students don't have to move too much. They're already here in their back. So we're preparing the body now to slow down and move towards Shavasana. So this is a great option to stretch the inner legs. Another option, once they've lowered their feet to the floor and their knees are bent, would be to take knee to chest pose or knee release pose. So we can plug the right knee into the chest and slide the left leg down the mat. Very simple transition on the back. Doesn't require a lot of effort to come into this shape. Remember, we want to wind the practice down now with cooling down. And so you maybe pull 3 to 5 breaths on one side, and then you would encourage left knee into the chest and the right leg to slide down the mat with the second side. I also sometimes, depending on the group and how long I've been teaching them, how experienced they are, I give them freedom. I say, what does your body need? What is your body requesting at this point in the practice? What would serve you? What would help you move into a deeper state of Shavasana? And sometimes it's just wonderful to see students really tapping into that intuition and knowing. And sometimes it's not even yoga poses that they're doing. It's simple transitional movements. They might just be rolling their wrists and ankles, or lifting their legs up to the sky. Encourage that fluidity. And then as you're ready, you can bring your students into Shavasana, guiding them. Maybe there's a bolster that goes under the legs, the cushions behind the head. I like to have the blanket underneath the body sometimes, especially if the floor is cold. Or you could put your blankets on top of you, or put on your extra layers of clothes. Shield your eyes with an eye pillow or clothing. Palms facing up, toes rolling out, settling into final rest of the practice, Shavasana. Sometimes neglect the space between asana, the moments that glue the practice together, the transitions. It can be a temptation to hurry through transitions to get to the next pose. However, transitions are the hidden gems in your yoga practice. By honoring them, and giving them the attention they deserve, you could advance your practice to the next level of awareness, mindfulness, and strength. Some key points to take away from today. Resist moving from asana to asana using momentum. Cultivate more slowness and grace of movement. And remember that consciously moving in and out of poses can help maintain focus, present moment awareness, body awareness, and prevent injury. If you have more time to dedicate to Shavasana today, please stay where you are. However, it's time for you to come out, start to deepen your breath and explore a little movement in your fingers and toes, and in your wrists and ankles. With a full body stretch as you inhale. And as you exhale, hug your knees to your chest. Rock on your back until you roll onto your side. Just take a deep couple of breaths there. And eventually making your way upright to Sukhasana. As we began the practice. Mindfully sitting. Maybe your hands come to Anjali Mudra at heart space. An acknowledgement of your practice. And the takeaways, the benefits from time on your mat. May we continue to move with grace, fluidity. May we encourage exploration and expression of movement. And all else make you safe. And sealing breath in through the nose. And out through the nose. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure to guide you. Namaste.